Stand by. Oh, what's up, party people? Oh, excuse me. What's up, smarty people? It's KeysDAN with RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com, coming to you live in a living color from the Radio What studios. And this is my podcast, What Makes You Smarter? It's an extension of the RadioWhat.com internet radio station that I've been running for quite some time. And if you need DJ services, where do I always send you? DJLittleRock.com. One more time. DJLittleRock.com. Check availability and get a free price quote, and maybe you can have me at your next event. You know I like to party with the people. The people need to be entertained. Let me entertain you. Are you not entertained? Make your next thing a big one. This week's shows, yes, my one public show. If you care to join me, won't you join me? Come out Friday night to the Rab in Conway, Arkansas, the video dance party karaoke jam. Yeah, I said karaoke. You're the stars of the show. You pick it, I play it, you're the star. You sing it, you're the star of the show. It's a little concert starring each and every one of you right there at the Rab, Conway, Arkansas. 8 p.m. until 12:30 in the a.m. They got a full bar, kitchen's open, pool tables, pool tournament on Friday nights on 10 diamond style pool tables. I'm not sure what diamond style pool tables are, but they seem pretty fancy to me. I think they're straight and level, and that's pretty much all you need for a pool game. I guess you need to have some semblance, some idea of what geometry is all about. Put a little geometry in there to get those balls in the holes while you're waiting to sing on stage right next to yours truly. KeysDAN, RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com, inviting you to the Rab in Conway, Arkansas, Friday night, 8 p.m. until 12:30 in the a.m. Also, if you'd like to tell your story, I encourage you to check out my other podcast. It's called What Makes You Famous. Find it everywhere using the hashtag What Makes You Famous. Now, on with the show. Today on the program, 10 things you need to know today for Thursday, February 17th, 2022. 10 things you need to know today. Number 1, U.S., NATO say Russia adding, not withdrawing troops from Ukraine border. United States and NATO officials said Wednesday that Russia was still adding to its estimated 150,000 troops near the Ukraine border instead of returning some of the forces to their bases, as Moscow claims. In Ukraine, where citizens displayed flags in show of national unity against a possible Russian invasion, the government blamed Moscow for what it described as the worst cyber attack its defense ministry had ever experienced. Russia denied responsibility. The latest events fueled skepticism about the sincerity of Russian President Vladimir Putin's pledge to seek a diplomatic solution to the Ukraine crisis. This is according to Reuters. Number 2, Biden rejects Trump claim of executive privilege over visitor logs. President Biden on Wednesday rejected former President Donald Trump's request to prevent the House Select Committee investigating the January 6, 2021 Capitol attack from obtaining White House visitor logs from that day. White House counsel Dana Remus wrote in a letter to the National Archives that Biden decided to order the release of the logs after concluding that asserting executive privileges, as Trump requested, quote, is not in the best interest of the United States and therefore is not justified as to these records and portions of records, end quote. Biden last year declined to support Trump's claim of executive privilege over documents and records requested by the committee. Trump lost a court appeal seeking to block the release of the material to the committee. This is according to the New York Times and CNN. Number 3, prosecutors cite racist texts by Arbors killers in hate crime trial. An FBI intelligence analyst testified Wednesday at a federal hate crimes trial of black jogger Ahmaud Arbery's murderers that 2 of the 3 men used racial slurs in text and Facebook messages. Travis McMichael, who was convicted last fall of murdering Arbery with a shotgun blast, routinely used the N-word and referred to black people as, quote, savages, end quote, and, quote, monkeys, end quote. William Roddy Bryan, who filmed the shooting, complained about Martin Luther King Jr. Day in 2019, texting a friend, quote, I'm working so all the N-words can take the day off, end quote. Quote, I knew all that hate was in those men, end quote. Arbery's father, Marcus Arbery, said, quote, it's hard, but I'm just glad the world can see this, end quote. This is according to the Atlanta Journal and, the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Number 4, excess U.S. deaths during pandemic surpass 1 million. The number of, quote, excess deaths, end quote, in the United States during the pandemic surpassed 1 million this week, according to government mortality statistics. The tally, updated weekly, shows the extent of the nation's health crisis by combining COVID-19 deaths with deaths from other health problems that have risen as medical facilities were overwhelmed by COVID-19 patients and people put off other health care, increasing deaths from other conditions, including heart disease, hypertension, and dementia. The Washington Post reported. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention recorded 2.8 million deaths in 2019 before the pandemic hit, with 500,000 deaths in excess of the norm in both 2020 and 2021. This is according to the Washington Post. Number 5, Trump posts first message on his new social media platform. Former President Donald Trump has made his first message on his alternative social media platform, Truth Social, which is preparing to launch soon. Quote, get ready. Your favorite president will see you soon, end quote. Trump wrote in a post shared on Twitter by his son, Donald Trump Jr. The site closely mirrors Twitter, which permanently suspended Trump's account on its platform after the January 6, 2021 Capitol attack, quote, due to the risk of further incitement of violence, end quote. The app, which also looks like Twitter, is still in an invitation-only beta. The full version is set to go live Monday, according to its Apple App Store page. But Trump Media CEO Devin Nunes told Newsmax earlier this month that the app won't launch until the end of March. This is according to the New York Post and Twitter. Number 6, watchdog Ryan Zinke broke ethics rules as Trump's Interior Secretary. Ryan Zinke, who served as former President Donald Trump's Interior Department Secretary, repeatedly broke ethics rules in office by improperly participating in real estate negotiations with helpers, including the then chairman of the energy giant Halliburton, according to a report released Wednesday by the department's internal watchdog. Zinke claimed in 2018 that he had nothing to do with a Whitefish, Montana land deal. But the report said emails and texts showed he represented his family's foundation in communications with the developer 64 times between August 2017 and July 2018. Quote, these communications show that Secretary Zinke played an extensive, direct, and substantive role, end quote, in negotiations on the project, wrote the Office of the Inspector General Mark Greenblatt, a Trump appointee. This is according to the Washington Post. Number 7, Fed minutes show talk of faster interest rate hikes to fight inflation. Federal Reserve policymakers at their last meeting discussed accelerating interest hikes to fight high inflation, according to minutes of the January 25 and 26 discussions released Wednesday. The first increase is expected in March. Fed officials hiked rates gradually, never more than once per quarter. The last time they did so, between 2015 and 2018. But the minutes said that if inflation doesn't ease as expected, most of the central bank's leaders believe, quote, a faster pace of increases in the target range for the federal funds rate than in the post-2015 period would likely be warranted, end quote. The Fed might nudge up rates currently near zero in March, May, and June, according to the Wall Street Journal. This is according to the Wall Street Journal. Number 8, death toll in Brazil, mudslides, floods, rises to 94. The death toll from the flooding and mudslides in Petrópolis, Brazil, reached at least 94 people on Wednesday. Civil defense authorities in mountainous Rio de Janeiro state said an undetermined number of people remain missing, and Petrópolis Mayor Rubens Bontempo said the number of dead could rise as searchers sift through the debris. The city's known as the Imperial City because it was a summer mountain getaway for Brazilian 19th century monarchs, was slammed with more rain in one afternoon than it normally gets in the whole month of February. Quote, the situation is almost like war, end quote. Rio de Janeiro Governor Claudio Castro told reporters on Wednesday. There are, quote, cars hanging from poles, cars overturned, lots of mud and water still, end quote. This is according to Reuters and the Associated Press. Number 9, poll shows 75% back local rules on masks, vaccines, or both. A Politico Morning Consult poll released Wednesday found that 75% of respondents believed local governments should encourage either vaccines, masks, or both to access indoor public spaces. Support for urging people to both wear masks and get vaccinated is down to 49%, a 7 percentage point drop since September. 54% of respondents said the government should prioritize the economy over slowing the spread of COVID. Only 38% said addressing COVID should be the higher priority. 57% said people should social distance as long as necessary to curb infections, while 31% said Americans should stop social distancing to stimulate economic activity, even at the cost of spreading the virus. This is according to Politico. Number 10, Canada beats U.S. to win gold in women's hockey. The defending Olympic champion U.S. women's hockey team had to settle for silver at the Beijing Olympics after losing to our rival Canada in the finals on Thursday. The Canadian women's hockey team took an early 3-0 lead. Team USA made a late scoring drive, but Canada hung on to win 3-2. Canada won all 7 of its matches in Beijing, including a 4-2 win over the U.S. in group play last week. Canada also beat the U.S. 3-2 in last year's Women's Hockey World Championship game. Canada has now won gold in 5 of the 7 Olympics since women's hockey became an Olympic sport in 1998. The U.S. has won 2 golds and 4 silvers, all of their losses to Canada. This is according to the Washington Post. That's 10 things you need to know today for Thursday, February 17th, 2022. Thank you so much for listening. This has been What Makes You Smarter. If you'd like to tell your story or hear the stories of others, I encourage you to check out my other podcast. It's called What Makes You Famous. Find it everywhere using the hashtag What Makes You Famous. That's it for this edition of What Makes You Smarter. It's KeysDAN, RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com. Peace. I'm out of here.